Hey everybody, I think I'm gonna start semi-weekly or each 2 weeks update of UEFN, Creative 2.0, Unreal Verse and all the topics related. Also some things from Unreal that might find its way into UEFN, assets, guides or topics that might prove useful, and some leaks maybe. This is the first update at the end of the third week of November 2022, so let's dive in. The most important thing, we know the date of the release of UEFN because Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic Games, announced that the UEFN is going to be delayed from the end of December of 2022 to the end of the January of 2023. So finally, we have an official date of end of January 2023 as a release date of UEFN, a custom Unreal Engine editor for Fortnite. For all you guys preparing for UEFN, Unreal Engine 5.1 was released, the stable branch of 5.1, latest update of Unreal Engine 5. A lot of improvements, ton of new features, and just humongous amount of reading to get accustomed with all those changes. But don't worry, we're gonna go through the most important things which I think are going to affect future UEFN users, hopefully because they're gonna find its way to UEFN. Now, you've got to remember that most things that are being developed for Fortnite or were used in Fortnite, they do find their way into Unreal Editor. So there's a good chance that those tools are already going to be a part of UEFN, are going to be updated each time UEFN is going to be updated, or Fortnite is going to actually get new tools to do stuff. But still, we have to actually look at them from the Unreal side because that's what we have right now only available to us. We don't really have UEFN yet. But Fortnite's version 23.00 with the name UEFN has been added to testing servers, so we are very close of getting it. And there are many creators already who actually have access to UEFN and are making some kind of tests for Epic, I believe. And rumors suggest those tests or those creations are going to be available to us, or at least presented at the new update, new chapter, because there's a new chapter coming to Fortnite. At December 3rd, Fortnite's Fracture, the chapter 3 final event gonna take place. Some rumors suggest creations made in UEFN are going to be presented at this event, or that actually whole event was in some way done in UEFN already, so that's kind of crazy. Don't know, but we're gonna see. A little bit older news, but at the beginning of the month, we did get access to a new map, new island for Creative, which is actually a Battle Royale map in Fortnite Creative. So you can actually use Artemis Chapter 3 map in Fortnite Creative with the addition of few new devices, exclusive only for this map, at least for now. And those are deployment console, loot control devices, map the settings devices, and also storm control device. Actually something that you have in normal Creative. Battle Royale Island has actually limitations. You cannot edit the map itself because it is being dated with each update of Battle Royale map, which is kind of sad because you would love to actually edit the map and make it custom, but you cannot really. So back to Unreal Engine 5.1, let's just go quickly through release notes because they are humongous and look at the most important updates from perspective of future UEFN users. Firstly, Nanite, which is a system which allows you to have virtualized geometry, allowing you to use humongous models like couple of millions of triangles with ease in Unreal, having a lot of details in a scene. There is a separate Nanite documentation if you're interested, but in this update we get additional type of materials and many different improvements for Nanite foliage and Nanite overall. From materials, a very interesting translucent overlay material which allows you basically to have a secondary additional overlay material slot for materials, allowing you to have very interesting visual effects without having to have like a second mesh that will be animated differently, so you can see like outlines and this kind of strange chrome-like looking effect. Very cool. That'll be fun to have it in UEFN. And since we're talking about materials, strata materials, which now are available as experimental feature. And this is a big topic, man. It's like different way of composing materials, which relies on concept of slab of matter. Representation parameterized by physical quantities with well-defined units, let's say. But what it short is important is that it is more of a move towards approach by supporting the graph-based mixing and layering of bidirectional scattering distribution functions, BSDFs, in some way imitated in Unreal. And clearly, apparently, you can see, that the layering is very visible. You see the whole range of new nodes, and they are being kind of stuck together, to create a much more complex, much more expressive way of composing materials. And as you can see, the results kind of look like a Chrome itself. And who knows, maybe Fortnite have a strata actually being run inside, especially like on those higher end devices, and this is why Chrome looks so good. Possible because you have a new tech inside a company, why not to use it and test it live in Fortnite? And actually there were many examples of features that were done like this. So for example, Worded, that was the same case, or those geometry scripting that was released in Unreal. So we might actually be looking at the strata inside of Fortnite just right now. Blueprints. Oh gosh, and they finally added inline editing on the node. You don't have to select the node and then just go into the details of the node just to edit simple values. Finally, thank you, Epic. Light mixer, something that I hope is going to be in a Fortnite, because this is also such a improvement quality of life, along with environment light mixer, which allows you to quickly set up the lighting for your scene, which previously you would have to, like dig for this stuff a little bit more. Here you have everything in one place, and this is similar to, in light mixer, you have all the lights in one place. You can play with them, see, what are the, values on them. Very cool. And yeah, in Fortnite, we're gonna have a lot of lights already, right, running. So that would be so good to have this thing. Epic, please, and fingers crossed. I know that the lights might actually be coming from the devices. This kind of debug for devices or lights from devices, and anything that is going to be like a tool to help us visualize what is going on in the scene is just going to be immense help. And I'm also gonna be making some kind of helpful plugins to help us with development in UEFN. There's also this helpful actor editor context, small helpful window that's gonna help a little bit with visualizing what is going on with the actors on the level. But another big thing is uncontrolled change list support in source control. So you're gonna have to remember that Unreal Editor for Fortnite is going to be definitely using some kind of source control, and either it's gonna be think from the outside like plastic SCM, like subversion, perforts, or just building in Unreal source control. And this feature has handy change lists, which got a little bit of improvements. One of those is uncontrolled change lists. So this is gonna show you the changes that you haven't really put into source control yet. And just to remind for you folks who haven't really been used source control for whatever reason yet, and you should start doing this for whatever you do, whatever work you do professionally, or even for like a YouTube, whatever you do with the files, that is risking of being lost in changes, but also deems helpful to have version control, where you're gonna be able to go back when you're gonna make some kind of mistake, program gonna crash or whatever. Source control is a means of having, just I said, history of editing of the files, and for like a code, it's just very basic stuff. Not even code, for like IT, that's just very basic, mundane, and very important part of production, where most of the work that you do is actually being put into the source control. And that's the same thing with Unreal. Unreal actually supports this natively, and UEFN, we're gonna have to also, moreover, on the screens leaked from UEFN, there were source control buttons and whatnot that were actually present in Unreal. So definitely this is going to be something that you're gonna want to be looking for, especially when you're gonna be thinking about editing a map or island with many people, because one file per actor, this is a feature closely related to source control, where source control gonna be able to tell you, who is editing which asset on the map. You're gonna be able to compare changes, push your changes into the map, and this is why we're gonna have to be looking for the source control. And you better start trying to actually using this and getting used to this in Unreal, because it is super helpful. I am using it for many years, even before working in Unreal. I was using this thing, in every company in game dev in IT probably does use this thing. It's just depends on what kind of software do they use. So yeah, just take this thing. Meta sounds, the new high performance way of composing sounds in Unreal, got also some improvements. My belief, but hope the most, is that we're going to be able to use meta sounds in editor for Fortnite, because it's just awesome. UMG and Slate. Now I think we're definitely gonna be able to use UMG, which is basically a UI framework for Unreal based on Slate. So just to paint the whole picture, Slate is like the low-level UI framework written in C++, native for Unreal, which means Unreal is actually basically written in a Slate. And on top of it, there is a UMG, which abstracts certain elements from Slate and gives you the visual editor for editing widgets, HUD elements, and windows that you're going to be able to create. Most of those elements, visual on player HUD that you see in Fortnite, menus, pop-ups, windows, are definitely made in UMG or Slate. And now if you would like to actually also make some kind of tools for editor in Fortnite, definitely you're gonna be digging UMG, if not Slate. But I think UMG is going to be the way to go. There is a helpful editor utility widget that actually allows you to make small tools in editor. There's also a couple of other avenues of using UMG in editor, and I think we're gonna be able to actually use this in editor for Fortnite, because simply you would love to have some kind of way to make tools, and this is supported by Unreal, so why not just expose this? This doesn't really affect the gameplay or whatnot, it just eases the productions. And I'm going to be definitely digging this thing. I am actually a lot of my day job work dealing with UMG, so I will love to make some kind of tools for you guys and for myself definitely. The view model is interesting, but I think it's much more for like a typical Unreal use case, not for really for UEFN. But the named slots come in handy. This allows you to have like a slot in the widget, create different version of the same widget with different injected widgets inside of it, which is kind of handy. And it all gonna clear more when I'm gonna expose you to widgets when I'm gonna make tutorials for this thing. Small addition of UMG tool palette, which is just handy and gives you quick access to some common widgets you're gonna be using using in UMG. For editor improvements, there is one big, which is outliner improvements. That was long cry for everybody who was using Unreal for so many years. That outliner was actually a little bit clunky, and it was kind of hard to use. You couldn't filter things easily and whatnot. And here now we have ton of improvements in this thing. Definitely good stuff, and I would love to see these in UEFN, and level designers, we're gonna love this thing. So yeah, I'm really happy about this thing. Another thing is curve table editor, which is quite important. Curves are data containers very commonly used in Unreal projects, so now you're gonna be able to edit simple curves and rich curves in curve data table editor. Very handy tools. We're gonna be using curves in UEFN, I bet this thing. So I'll also play with them right now in Unreal. New import pipeline. So whenever you're gonna be importing assets into Unreal, import framework did get a little bit of improvements. I won't gonna go into details of this thing because it's gonna be kind of hard to, I'll have to compare old to new one and just mess with this thing a little bit with you guys. You're gonna get a little bit of a confused. So we're gonna see this live just, using UEFN and Unreal. So let's just skip this for now. And modeling and sculpting tools. If you did not know, Unreal have tools for modeling 3D models, edit 3D models, edit, UVs, script tools for procedural generation of meshes with geometry scripting also. And in 5.1 we did get a little bit of improvements to this thing. I wasn't gonna go into details, but we did get pattern tool, which allows you to have like a pattern of items of meshes, similar to like modifiers. Array modifier might work in Blender if you know Blender. This tool allows you to create copies of the same object with some kind of offset that you can actually set, giving you ability to create whole rows of chairs or whole rows of items or things being stuck vertically or in any different way that you would like to. Very handy for creating mass amount of models at the same time. Animation is also a very big topic in Unreal, from control rig to animation blueprint to whatever tool there is to animate stuff around. And here in 5.1 we did get beta of machine learning deformers, which enhance deformers, like mesh being deformed with some kind of machine learning, whatever that would be. Just basically makes your animations look better. There's also a deformer graph allowing you to create and edit this complex deformations. And which is very important, physics controls component, which is experimental in 5.1. And this is very handy tool of making much more of a procedural animations without having to like manually animate physical interactions of animated assets with environment. I hope this is going to be exposed for UEFN, so it's going to be easier to set up procedural animation for like limbs hitting, objects and reacting very naturally like muscles will. You're gonna have even finer control of being able to animate bouncing boobs. There are also additional things for animation, but let's just jump into sequencer. And if you were editing videos in any editing tool or you were animating, you did use those bars that actually allow you to set up timings, and you used keyframes and curves to edit when the keyframes are gonna be hit and when the thing's gonna change in time. And sequencer is the same thing for Unreal. It allows you to modify this kind of data. And we did get a couple of improvements in here, but very importantly, we did get animation constraints. And this is ability for you to constrain while animating in sequencer certain elements of animated mesh to different elements of different mesh or the same mesh, creating cinematics on a level or whatever that you would like to animate and constrain to a different object. Just like in the example, you're gonna be able to snap the hands of the weapon easily without having to do complex setup in animation graph or whatever that would be. Super fun thing, and I saw many examples even on the previews from Unreal's team on usage of this thing. Hype for this thing. Cinematic creators and movie makers are going to love this thing. Another animation tool, control rig, present in Unreal, which is very high hope for me to be exposed to UEFN, because this basically allows you to, without having to use any DCC app, basically extraneous app, to animate things like Blender or to animate characters inside Unreal. It got some improvements, but very importantly, we did get IK, rig, and retargeter. So if you have your favorite animations of chicken running and flying around, but you love your character to do exactly the same animation, you would retarget them from the chicken to the character, and they'll be doing the same thing. And this also did get some improvements. I believe we're gonna have this exposed. It's going to be so fun to see people using this. So crazy stuff is gonna happen. Hoping for the most of the emotes that we have in game just to be exposed for, like animals and whatnot. It's just going to be hilarious. Well, I'm not sure we're gonna get the emotes that we're gonna be able to mess with, because like this is one of the things that you're buying, so it doesn't really make sense for us to be able to use this for free. But I think people are going to make their own emotes and stuff like that. This is what I mean. Quickly, I would love to have this new creators economy to also also give revenue to creators of animations, of textures, materials, whatever asset that would be 3D models done there, to be able to actually make money from the stuff. And emotes sounds like a perfect thing, you know, for animators to make some additional bugs. Same for audio, and I love to see what you guys are able to do, because I kind of suck in animations, you know. Blueprint. We got a couple of things, but importantly, blueprint namespace. And if you know coding, you know that this is fun. It allows you to more granularly divide blueprints into different categories, let's say. And this way, you're gonna be able to display only things that interest you, or let's say certain developers, like let's say some kind of LDs, stand for level designers, or let's say environment artists. And you would like to actually speed up the boot of Unreal Engine for them, or UEFN, let's say. And you're gonna be able to hide certain assets from them, and this is gonna actually speed up the boot up process. And this is awesome. They don't have to mess with this thing. They don't have to have, you know, folders obscured with these assets. You can just hide this thing this way and boot up, you know, engine and editor for them differently. And iteration speed is very, very important. You're gonna guys learn this very fast. So yeah, I'm really happy that we did get this thing. AI, big topic also for UEFN and Verse, because we know we're gonna be able to script AI's behaviors in Verse, but we did get stage 3 production ready. So this is like a different way of creating AI behavior, like a waterfall top-down behavior chain instead of like a 3 leaves node. So let me explain a little bit what I'm even talking about. Unreal for a very long time uses behavior trees to decide what AI is going to be doing. So you can imagine a tree of nodes where you have a root from which AI starts deciding what to do next, and he goes from the root to the branches in Unreal from left to right, going through each node, deciding, you know, if he can execute behavior in a given leaf, consequently in whole branch. State tree, as name says, is also a tree, but it's much more of like the hierarchical state machine, where behavior is much more laid down top to bottom with transitions showing you where would you go after completing each node. It's cool because it's much more general, and you don't really have to even set up this for AI. It can be for any different actor, object, whatever that will be, and it's easy to use, and because of this is fun. Unreal 5.1 adds new simulation templates category, and I know geospatial data, huge worlds, and open simulations are kind of crazy to think in coming to Fortnite, but who knows, one day guys, UEFN gonna prove very useful. We're gonna be able to make massive worlds and make real simulations, changing the Fortnite forever. So we did get 3 templates: simulation blank, handheld AR, and virtual reality. Just read what they are. There's also a documentation that shows you, what are the details of those new, templates. Collision in physics. There's a lot of improvements into physics, namely Chaos, which is Unreal Engine's epic-made simulation pipeline, which Fortnite actually used, though we don't really see that much of this, in Fortnite, at least visually, but this is a very powerful thing. And my hopes are that we're gonna be able to harness this in Fortnite for ourselves. We're gonna be able to use Chaos features, creating destructible environments, assets, props. Thanks to UEFN, this is my big hope, and all in the improvements are going to help immensely, so thank you for proving this thing epic. If not in Creative 2.0, then at least in the future. I would love to see this. To sum up, 5.1 Unreal's Engine update focuses on many improvements and quality of life enhancements. Many of those will be super helpful in UEFN. I bet that you enjoy free games from Epic Games Store, but did you know that you can get free assets from Unreal Engine's marketplace each month? Yep. And you better start stocking them up each month and not forget about them, because they may prove so much useful during UEFN development of new creative experiences. So each month I'm gonna try to quickly review the assets just to show you what they contain and how you can use them. But for now I'm gonna stick to 3D assets, 3D models, textures, animations, characters, sounds and audio, materials. Since from gameplay plugins to the whole projects or tools, we don't really know what to expect from UEFN. Tools may prove useful still, I think. I believe we're gonna be able to make some kind of editor, tools to help ourselves in the production, but from a gameplay side we don't really know what we're gonna be working with, so I'm gonna just skip them for now just to save a little bit of time for you. One important aspect of assets and plugins from marketplace is compatibility with Unreal Engine version. So we don't really know which assets are going to be compatible with UEFN. It's gonna be kind of hard to guess right now, but in the future I'm gonna try to give you a little bit of information so which one you're gonna be able to use. So for now let's just stick to briefly mentioning assets that you can get for free from marketplace. So in November you can get clothing and show stores from Alexander Zyandov. Gives you a little bit of a modularity, but a ton of assets that you can use to create realistic looking show stores and clothes stores. Next content is high quality modern loft office interior modular scene, which seems to be much more suited for archivists than anything else, but my hopes are that we are going to be able to use these high quality models one day in Fortnite, but I'm not sure that this is going to be at the Creative 2.0. And lastly, there is animated rain, water drop material, and VFX from Sim Tascan, which allows you to easily add rain material to your project. Now, just as I said, I have no idea how much materials are going to be compatible with what we have with UEFN. I think they should be, but just a word of caution if you would like to use this later on in UEFN when it's gonna come out. While we're recording this, I figure out that maybe there's going to be a good idea to make video on Unreal Engine Marketplace and its quirks, how to work with materials, how to import things to project, what to look for and what not in like a future video. So maybe separately I'm gonna in future do something like this, and definitely I will gonna try to actually make one specifically for UEFN, just to show what to look for when we're finally gonna be able to get our hands on. Thanks guys, see you in the next video. Leave a like, subscribe, remember to join the Discord Reddit community r/UEFN, and happy learning Unreal.